Monday night. It must be round of shots night. What's up, my brother?
James hey, nothing much. Just hanging out, Got my Cleveland Browns gear on. It's still tied 7-7. And they, beating Baltimore and Lamar Jackson would just make me such a happy camper after such a sad Saturday.
A sad Saturday.
It was a sad Saturday.
It was. I have to admit, I did not watch the game.
You Saturday. Did?
No, I woke up and was dealing with the migraine. Yeah. And I laid down and I slept through like the first half. And I picked up my phone and looked at that score. And I threw the phone across on the bed and I just kind of rolled over.
Went back to sleep.
I was like, my goodness. And then they make this we're talking men's basketball. Then they make it kind of a comeback in the second half, and then but tonight, we'll talk a lot of Kentucky basketball. First half of the show, Tyler Thompson's going to join us. KSR. Yeah. I was teasing our pre-little chat before we went live. Evidently, I didn't get the memo, but the memo, James, is that this is KSR Appreciation Month on Round of Shots. So
I didn't get. Yeah, you didn't share that memo with me, but I'll take it. Some good folks over there. We had Ryan Lemon and Jack Pilgrim last week. So this week we're
how fun was that show?
That was a fun show. That was a really fun show. So it's cool. I've met virtually. I've met Ryan and Jack doing shows with them before. It's our first time meeting Tyler though, and I'm very excited. Our pre-show chat, she was super cool. So
got a dog issues. She warned me about her husband making noise in the background. To me, that's the real world. That is the
real world. Yeah, one of my kids may wander in here at some point, so they do that frequently.
As long as they smile and wave and
the twins don't have any teeth right now, so they're all they just keep falling out. Like they seriously look ridiculous. They can't eat apples or stuff like that.
Okay, but there's other things they can eat besides apples.
Oh yeah, they had spaghetti tonight. They did fine with that.
Mashed potatoes are pretty good with
no
teeth. Yeah. So, looking ahead to second half of the show, Reggie Hanson, who I've not, Reggie was parts. I think he a senior for Patino's
he was there for Patino's first 2 years.
First two
years, 89, 90, 90, 91. So he was there when they kind of that 14-14 record, 10-8 in the SEC, which was kind of surprising, especially where they've been. Then he was there for the second season 90-91 where they won a bunch of games and kind of like Patino turned it around that quick. So it'll be fun.
Well, without further ado, Tyler Thompson is in the house. KSR Appreciation Month.
I'm glad to carry the torch for KSR. I think this is a really great trend you guys have going on. So
yeah.
James did kind of toot our horn last week. We had, it was supposed to be Ryan Lemon on the first half, kind of like what Tyler's doing, and Jack was going to come on the second half. And Ryan was like, "This is past my bedtime." And like Jack messages me. He's like, "I'm going to be ready before 9:30 and we jump on." I'm like, "Yeah, come on." And Ryan kind of like planted it in our ear that 9:30 was going to be,
he's going to be out.
Cut off.
At 10:10, when all four of us were still rolling, and we were like, I think that's when you, James, you always send me the text like, let's take it home, Kevin. Let's take it home.
Yeah. I'm an old man, Tyler. I have a set bedtime.
Hey, I'm an old lady too. I get it. I get it.
It's bad. Like it is. I went to bed at 9:30 last night, partially because I wanted to stay up and watch the second half of Monday Night Football, and like I had to do that in order to stay up late the next night. I had to sleep super long the night before.
There's no shame at all.
Thank you.
Do you need your 8 hours?
I do. I'm a mess if I don't have it. I'm terrible. I'm a zombie. I'm grumpy. The kids are like, "Dad, go back to bed."
Was the wifey there to tell you a story before bedtime?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me a story though. Go to bed, you old man.
All right. Just went into it. Well, actually, I don't mind it going in that direction. Compared to what we, you mentioned we were talking about Reggie Hanson that first Pitino's first year. Think about it. 14-14, guys.
Yeah.
That record, 14-14. As Kentucky fans, we were ecstatic. I mean, it was an exciting. This team here this year, didn't Kim Palm put out a projection that they were going to go be a sub 500 team or something?
12-14.
Yeah.
And we're
And then,
losing.
Tyler, what was do you remember the record for the SEC projection?
I think they had 10-8 in the SEC, but still, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Kentucky's going to have a losing record, but I can't imagine what would happen if they did. We would not be ecstatic. I'll put it like that. It's
right.
It would be a very weird day.
I said last week, James, I'll say this for Tyler, is when it comes to the state right now, the tease has always been, that Calipari's the number one guy in the state, not the governor. But right now, Governor Beshear is like, I am not the worst liked or the least liked person in this state. It's Coach Cal. Tyler, I teased her, James, and I'm going to say it. I think it's fair to say KSR is the sports UK fan site, the number one. And I said that would make her numero uno when it comes to like the first lady. So
it's still weird. I mean, it's, I'm very blessed to be able to do what I do for a living. And, you asked how long I've been with KSR. It's been 8 years full time, 10 if you include like the part-time years. And even before then, I got into the KSR realm by doing a contest, who wants to be a blogger kind of thing. And I actually got third in that. So that was 12 years ago. And now it's wild. And, there are days when this job is not so fun, like when you have to cover a Kentucky basketball team that's lost 4 straight and it seems like the sky is falling. But it's a lot better than being at a desk at a corporate job and, filing tax reports for a living. I mean, it is truly a blessing.
But the sky is falling.
The sky is totally falling.
Yeah.
I have a question for Tyler, just about blog stuff. And
sure.
One of the things that I've come across through my years in media, whether it be blogging or radio or whatever, is just you get those just negative emails or messages, like, critiquing what you should really be talking about and why do you hate the team and what's your problem, you're dragging the kids down, or what, a litany of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, has that, since KSR has become such a brand and it's been so big, has stuff like that for you, has that kind of declined, or is it still about the same, or has it gotten bigger since the audience continues to grow?
I think at first, whenever I would get a message like that, whether it be a comment in the comments section or a tweet or an email, it would bother me. Mm-hmm. But I think over the years, 2 things have happened. One, I think I've established, a relationship with fans, and they feel like they can trust me. I've been writing on KSR for 10 years now. So hopefully there's some trust there, and there's like a rapport you have, it's almost like talking to a friend, but also I've got a tougher skin, that stuff rolls off a little bit easier. That being said, there's still moments where I'll get a mean tweet or a mean email, and maybe for like an hour or so, it'll bug me, but then I'll just be like, you know what? Something else is going to happen that this person is going to be mad about, and I can't do anything about that. So I'm just going to move on. And people are passionate about Kentucky sports. I mean, it's unlike, I'd say, any other fan base, maybe the exception of Alabama football. Mm-hmm. So it totally encompasses people's lives. And when Kentucky's not playing well, everybody's unhappy. I mean, we've seen it. I think something that's really interesting, and we were talking about this earlier, that you slept through the game on Saturday. Could you imagine yourself doing that 4 or 5 years ago?
Oh, no, wow. That's actually a good question.
Like, it's just and I don't know what it is. If it's just the pandemic has kind of changed everybody's perspective a little bit, or is it that we've kind of gotten used to not such superstar teams that, come out and beat UCLA by 60 points like UK did back in 2014, 2015. It's not, I'm not saying accepting mediocrity at all, but it's almost like an indifference. I feel like there's been a change in the fan base with that, because there are people that I know who, Saturday when Kentucky was losing to Notre Dame, just turned the TV off, and I can't imagine myself doing that 4 years ago. I mean, I cover the game, so I watched it all to the very bitter end, but still, I could totally understand a fan just turning the TV off and being like, you know what? I have better things to do with my Saturday than sit here and be angry and depressed.
One of the things that really has surprised me, and this is on to your previous comment about kind of like fan indifference, is 12 years into John Calipari as a head coach, national championships, Final Fours, but now the theme of the year, every year seemingly, is, well, we'll just have to wait until February until they're ready. And I'm like, and I just had an epiphany today on a radio show, and I'm like, I remember when we didn't have to wait.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when they were good right off the bat. Like this having to wait stuff is a new phenomenon, and I can't imagine, as you just said, 5 years ago.
It's been several years though.
Yeah, but 5 years ago, saying we've got to wait until January for this team really picks up. We'd be like, no, Cal got to get it going now. I mean, do you really think that this is where we are, year 12 in Calipari? That it's just all a waiting game until the tournament? Because that's not sustainable.
I think it's frustrating, and I think before Saturday's game versus Notre Dame, I could say this with ultimate certainty, that this team is very, very frustrating, because even in the past when Cal has had young teams, even if they're young, there's been some glimmer of promise,
like a Julius Randle,
like a backup. Yeah. Or there's an older veteran who would always play well, like Julius Mays or something. I mean, that's an extreme analogy, but this year, up until the second half of the Notre Dame game, there was just nothing. And I know Keon Brooks is on the sideline. He hasn't played, and maybe that would have changed some things, but they just look completely lost. Now, thankfully, against Notre Dame in the second half, they looked a lot better. It looked like they had a purpose. They were fighting. There was energy. There was some kind of offensive identity. But until that point, it was just like 10 new kids. And I think the pandemic has been part of this, that fan base doesn't know. We don't know these kids. It's really hard to get to know them because of the pandemic. There hasn't been, the typical preseason stuff like the camps and the clinics where fans could go get autographs. There wasn't camp out. I know we had Big Blue Madness, but it wasn't the same.
Right.
There wasn't exhibitions. And but even the pandemic aside, I think that's been a problem the last 6 years, is fans haven't made a connection with the players as much as they used to. And I think you can look at, as an example of a player people who have connected to, is Emmanuel Quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably been one of the biggest fan favorites Kentucky's had in the past couple of years. And I think part of that is he stuck around. And also he had a great family. They had a ton of charisma and energy, and people got to know them and whatever. But with this group, it's just so hard, and it's not anybody's fault. It just is what it is. But it's really hard not to get down on BJ Boston when he's playing bad, because you don't know anything about BJ Boston. There's not like an endearing story about him or a connection. So I think that's part of it. It's tough.
Some of the things that I've heard Cal say after, a post-game presser or his weekly presser is guys buying into, the whole team concept. They're coming from a me first environment. And I brought this up last week, James, and this is still stuck with me. I'm trying to find the article, but basically Cal made a comment that these kids, the guys, need to unpack their bags, to stick around the college game and not look ahead to, the pros. And I think what bothers me the most about that is that, isn't that something that Cal should have, in getting these players to come here, establish that from the get-go? This is what I need from you. This is what you need to do. You need to park your ass here in Lexington, unpack your bags and, listen and learn and do it the way I'm going to, and coach you. And that's, it's just his tone after these games says, there's this disconnect. And I think it's safe to say, when's the last time Cal or his staff, James, had to go out and look for players? This is my take when it comes to Cal and recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
The Jack Pilgrims of the world, all these recruiting places, they'll do their reviews or grades, and then they put this list of the top 50 players. That's when Cal gets the memo and says, all right, these are the 4 and 5 star players. These who we need to look at. He doesn't. When was the last time Cal had to go find somebody, that diamond in the rough? And I just feel like sometimes it's like with this team, it's just like, is he trying to fit pieces, put the right players together, or is he just going out and grabbing, a bunch of, a class that's going to give him the top rated, recruiting class, and then, then the headaches start coming. Jane, I'll start with you.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought I was going to go. Sorry. Look, I don't know, man. One of the frustrating things, I don't know if it's frustrating or I want to be careful because Cal's still getting the top recruiting classes, but the recruiting classes aren't looking the same as they used to. And it's going to be like that going forward, I think. I don't think that and he might still, but it's been a while since he's had that blockbuster class where you get like 4 of the top 10, something of that nature. This class, you had 2 of the top 10 in Terrence Clark and BJ Boston, and then everybody else was kind of like in the 20s, and you had grad transfers. Also, next year's class is kind of already the same thing. You got Damian Collins in that like 8 to 12 range. Nolan Hickman is in like the 30s, and then Bryce Hopkins is like 40s, 50s. So this class is already kind of starting off like the previous few classes have, with guys that are fringe top 15, top 10-ish, and then back in top 20s, 30s, 40s. And I think, Tyler, that do you think that has something to do with it as well? Because I do, and these guys aren't sticking around like you think they will. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I think it was Jack who made this point on the pregame show on Saturday. Think about what this team would look like had Kentucky gotten Cade Cunningham, who is clearly the best freshman in college basketball right now.
It's not close.
And a lot of the problems would be solved, but instead they went after, a grad transfer in Davion Mintz, who's okay. They convinced Devin Askew to reclassify. I think Devin Askew has a ton of upside, but he should still be in high school. And a lot of people, I know that that's been a trendy thing to say on the broadcast, but I think a lot of people do need to realize that kid is very, very young, and it's going to take time for him to grow into the role and to mature. I do agree with you that the top 25 to 50 range guys, let's use like Emmanuel Quickly as an example. Look how much he helped himself with the second year. I think it's really, but I think that kids come to UK and they're like, well, I'm going to UK. I'm going to be a one and done. Even if they're not a top 10, top 15 guy, they see, Kentucky guys in the NBA every night. They see the NBA bubble was full of guys like Tyler Hero, who used to be a 4-star recruit, and now he's one of the most talked about rookies in the league. Yeah. I think it's just really, really hard for some of these kids to have that moment where it's like, oh, this is tough, and I'm going to have to go into the gym early, and I'm going to have to stay there late. And it's not just a, snap your fingers and it happens. It takes a lot of work. And I think a good sign is, even though BJ Boston is struggling right now, he seems to be leading the charge for that. He's going into the gym. He started the breakfast club, which I had to laugh when he said that. I think it was Friday, or maybe it was after the game Saturday. I can't remember. I'm like, which person on the UK athletic staff fed him that line? That kid didn't know what the Breakfast Club was.
No.
Like, come on.
Were you? I was a little taken aback and disappointed because I believe that was Friday, Tyler.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
When he talked about the Breakfast Club, and he's like, "Well, the only one that's taken me up on it so far is Cameron Fletcher."
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I mean, that really disappointed me because you have two guys in Olivier Sarr and Davion Mintz who this is like their last chance to play big time college basketball.
Totally.
You think they would be doing anything and everything to put in extra work to get better. And some of these younger guys, like Terrence Clark and I mean Jacob Toppin, Isaiah Jackson. I mean, I named the whole team. Like, don't it's like, do they not think they need some extra work right now? And credit to BJ Boston for taking the lead and trying to be a leader. But I was just disappointed in the lack of team unity. I think, and you can speak on this too. I think just watching them play, there's no sense of urgency until one half of basketball.
Right, and I don't want people to. I'm excited about that one half of basketball. Trust me. If that one half of basketball hadn't happened, oh my gosh, it would be definitely would be skies falling. But to go back to what Kevin was saying about Calipari saying, unpack your bags. Hopefully what has happened is a wake up call to these kids that, yeah, you do need to unpack your bags. You do need to get into the gym at 6 a.m. You got to get up at 5:45. If that's what it takes, and that's what it takes. And hopefully Saturday was yet another thing you can point to and say, we have got to work on this. And in talking about team chemistry, I think it's really hard this year. They're not able to do the normal things. They're not able to like have team meals at Cal's house and, have those cool moments with the fans. But I think one promising thing was after Sarr missed that shot right at the end of the game that could have won the game, everybody went over to him and comforted him. I think Terrence Clark physically put his hands under Sarr's head and lifted it up and said, "It's okay, man." And we have a great picture on KSR from Dr. Mike, our photographer, of the team consoling Sarr. I think that was a good sign. I mean, if we're grasping at hope right now, which let's be honest, we kind of are.
That's what we are, yeah.
That's something that you can point to as a good sign moving forward.
Yeah, the other thing too, with this team, well, actually, not just it's every team. The amount of pressure, and you mentioned it, Tyler. The kids coming in, and all these kids coming in and trying to figure out figure out who they are within the team, and just them, as a player. And the other thing we kind of forget. Well, I don't think we forget how many other people are involved or in their ear. Family, friends, handlers,
former coaches.
You need to do this or that. Here's the reality too: is that some of these players, if the opportunity comes that they will get to leave and go play, get drafted or play professionally, they're gone. That's just how it is, because as highly touted as they are coming in, they think they are 1 foot, in and 1 foot out to the league. And if they don't get out of here within a year or maybe two, then it's kind of like they failed. And then what happens is that Cal continuously brings in these high profile players, and then eventually they get kind of lost in the shuffle and then transfer. We talked. Nick Richards, a good example. First 2 years,
yeah.
Third year he stuck around. Great for him. And what did he do? He did. He played his ass off into the second round, but I mean, he had a great.
Before that, he wouldn't be in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Before that, he wouldn't have. He would have been in. I'm not trying to bag on a kid, but he would have been in the EJ Montgomery situation, to where that's an example of a guy that obviously needed another year, but for whatever reason decided to hit the road. Now, I think he could have been really good. He could have had that Nick Richards trajectory to where his first 2 seasons he's struggling. Third season, there's a point in the point middle of the year where he's leading the charge as far as SEC Player of the Year. Now, quick ended up overtaking him. But there for a while, I mean, it was Nick Richards to lose, Tyler.
Yeah, totally. I think Nick Richards is a great example to point to. And for his sake and for Calipari's a little bit, thank goodness he got drafted, right? So Cal could be like, look at what happens when you come and you stay for a couple years. PJ Washington, another great example, although PJ, after his freshman year, was projected to maybe go at the end of the first round. Start of the second quickly, like we've talked about, is another really great example. I think it's just really hard for some kids. I mean, look at like Khalil Whitney. He didn't even finish the year.
I know.
I just hate it that, like you were saying, some of these kids have people in their ear. Like with Whitney, it was probably his dad who just thought that there were, better opportunities somewhere else. He was wasting his time. He was risking injury, whatever it may be.
Right.
It just really stinks. But I would like to think that the more examples Calipari gets of players like Quickly or Richards who stick around and put in the work, the more kids will begin to see that as an acceptable path. Oh, I hear a dog.
Dogs are mine.
Mine is pacing around too. She's glaring at me.
Is it safe to say that the grad transfers or the upperclassmen take a backseat to these high-profile players? So, let me start with.
I was going to say, are you saying in Calipari's mind, or?
Yeah, I mean, because it just that's my take. And
I think Cal. I think it's fair to say that Cal shows some favoritism to the top recruits, top freshmen he has. But I think that he does that because he believes they have more upside. And if he continues to play them, they will give him a better shot to win at the end. I don't necessarily always agree with that. I think we're kind of seeing that right now with the point guard situation. I mean, I think Davion Mintz, Kentucky's better when Davion Mintz is on the floor.
Yeah.
Terrence Clark is running point right now, which I think was mostly a good experiment versus Notre Dame. He had a couple turnovers that just drove me nuts. Like, Calipari talks about when guys showboat. He had one pass in the lane, but he was going behind his back over his shoulder, and it went to absolutely nobody. And you're like, what are you doing? Hopefully he can learn from that and cut down on those. But if Mintz wants to stay in the game, he's got to start shooting the ball. I mean, he won Kentucky's 3-point shooting contest at Big Blue Madness. And I know that's just a very small example, but this team needs people to score, especially from the outside.
Mintz came in as a shooter.
Yeah.
He's like 35% at Creighton. Yeah. So you're exactly right. That's what he was expected to do. And I mean, Bill Raftery all day Saturday was like, now this kid can shoot. And then every time he thought he missed, I'd be like, stop saying it, Bill.
Or he'd pass up an open shot. And you're like, man, come on. If you're not playing on point, you got to, like, when you get the ball, just shoot it.
Yeah. I like Askew at the two. I mean, because I think that, he hit some threes Saturday. I thought he played, that's one of his best games at Kentucky. And I think there's a lot to taking that point guard pressure off of him. And it's like, get your confidence somewhere else on the floor. If you can't run the point right now, fine. We'll find something for you to do, because I do think he's talented, but he is a ways off for being a college point guard.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And if Terrence continues to provide this new look, I like that he can penetrate the lane much better than Davion or Devin can. He gives another angle to the offense. So I'm willing to see where this experiment goes, because honestly, not much else is working right now. So why not?
We got a few more minutes with Tyler. Let's see. Coach Hanson is in the background. He's on deck waiting to talk for a second. Let me switch gears real quick. Football. Any updates with the whole thing with Brom? Was it Brian Brom?
Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy? Like the Kenny Payne impact on the football team. I think it'd be interesting. I haven't heard the latest. I think I saw earlier today that Joe Moorhead's the favorite. If Stoops had his druthers, he would get Moorhead, but Moorhead just took the job at Oregon last year, and I think moving his family across the country again is kind of a big ask. But if it's not Joe Moorhead, I think there are 3 different guys. You mentioned Brom, and then you've got the guy from Missouri, and then the LA Rams quarterback coach Liam Cohen. I think any of those 3 guys would be interesting. Moorhead, I think, would be the best option, but I just, we'll see if he takes it. If not, I think Stoops has the chance to make an exciting young hire that hopefully will keep some recruits on board, because Kentucky has got to send a message that they're willing to try new things on offense, and especially by opening up, passing the ball. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep these wide receivers that Kentucky so desperately needs, you've got to send a message with this hire.
Right. One more thing. I want to get your take on this. Saturday, the Vanderbilt game. Is it Fuller? Sarah Fuller?
Sarah Fuller.
She kicked an extra point or something.
2 extra points, yeah.
2. Yeah, 2. Don't forget that. 2. And then your fellow Tennessean, Clay Travis.
No, he's a Nashvilleian.
He put out some comment, and which to me was just it was weak. It was a weak ass comment, and then him and kind of Matt had a little bit of a sparring. Took Matt's credit. He kind of like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
I guess give me your take on that. Because let me add this. I've got daughters. I've got 3. I've got a granddaughter who's going to be scheduled to be here Saturday.
Oh my goodness.
And if women are genetic in my family. My mom, she's a woman. My grandmother was a woman. If I was to ever talk that way about a female, mm-hmm. I would expect someone, especially one of my family members, my kids, just hit me right in the mouth.
Yeah.
It's just, jump in on that.
I think Clay Travis, I unfollowed him several years ago on Twitter.
Same here.
It's just muted. Yeah. I haven't muted him yet. I probably need to. He just thrives off of stirring the pot and feeding the worst possible, factor of our society. I think what Sarah Fuller is doing is awesome. I think that if you want to call it a publicity stunt, then you just don't get it at all. I think Vandy has had a really tough year. They, in addition to not really typically being a very good football program, they've been hit by COVID really hard. And a lot of these games, they've had no chance to win. Their specialist room was knocked out, which is why Sarah Fuller came in the first place. And you know what? If she kicks a few extra points and a kickoff and makes history, why would anybody want to take a shot at that? It says more about the people who take shots at that than what happened in itself. Mm-hmm. And if you can't see the good in letting a woman make history and have little girls and even 30-year-old women like me watching from home and cheering her on, you're just very insecure. And, you've got a lot of issues. Yeah. So
it was, to me, James, a bitch move.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Oh, I agree 100%. I have a daughter, and she's awesome. And if she somehow kicks a field goal in a football game one day, I'll be ecstatic and proud of her.
Yeah,
and cheer her on. And then, my wife's a former college athlete, so we're a big, sports family. And it was cool. I mean, it was just really, really cool. Like you said with Clay Travis, like, why dog on something that's a positive story? We need positive stories right now. We need happiness. And it's just like either he's miserable or he knows how to play to miserable people. And it may be a combination of the two, but it was an awful comment. And he got all kinds of negativity for it, and deservedly so.
Probably calculated too.
I don't know how much
everything he does. There's an intent. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, how much of it does he really believe, or how much does he just know the people that gravitate towards him? That's where I'm in between. It's like, I don't know how much of that crap he really believes, but he can play it up.
Yeah.
I got to leave Tyler with this, James. Tyler, James and I are big into the paranormal.
Oh my goodness! All right.
We actually, I'd still do a paranormal show. James did. We did a podcast together, and we had to, because of schedules, he had to bow out. But I want to get Tyler's take. James, you remember the article the other day, last week or so, about the Israeli prime minister who acknowledged that.
Oh, he was the head of their space program.
Oh, yeah,
the head of the space program.
So, Tyler, right now, are we alone in the universe?
No, we're not alone. I don't know if there's a galactic federation or whatever.
She's up on it.
I totally read about it. Are you kidding me?
So cool, yeah.
Of course I read about it.
Right.
I think it's fascinating. I don't really.
I did not start the show with this question.
I know, man. I could talk for another hour. But yeah, I don't think they're little green men, but I think it's naive to think that we're alone in this universe because we've explored, the tiniest fraction of it. I think it would be absolutely hilarious if there is proof of, alien life and our current president is not talking. I think it'd just be really funny if on the way out he was like, and oh yeah, here's,
by the way,
I just think it'd be really entertaining. I know I got a kick out of that. I think it's too funny.
Well, I do think in our lifetime, we're going to get the answer.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Me too.
Tyler, time flew.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Thanks, guys.
Promise to do it again because I think we could have definitely went in. You could have pulled O'Brien and been on 10-15 with us.
Yeah.
But how can people connect with you? Well, I see on your
Sure. Yeah, I added that in. I saw everybody else had their Twitter handles on here. You can find me on Twitter at Mrs. Tyler KSR or check Kentucky Sports Radio. I write there practically every day, multiple times a day. So thanks for having me.
Still making those good sandwiches?
Oh, you have to make them for me, please. I'm not in the sandwich game anymore.
Deal.
Making sure. Tyler, thanks so much for hanging with us.
Thank you. Go Cats.
All right, take care. KSR Appreciation Month continues.
Yeah.
All right. This is one I've been looking forward to.
This is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah. Coach Hanson.
He wants it to be Coach Hanson, not Reggie.
You know what? It's whatever. I mean, when you're a coach, to most people, you're always a coach. And so most people that see me still, even if they see me in a while, they call me coach. Some of my ex-players that are either in the NBA, that are playing in the NBA or working in the NBA, if I text them, they text back, they be like, what's up, coach? So, it's either or.
Yeah, I mean, which we have with Coach Hanson on, we'll get some coaching advice maybe for this team, James.
Oh, please. Coach, you got to get to Cal. You got to help him.
Do you all have a relationship?
What? Now, I don't know Kyle that well. We've met and stuff, and obviously when I was coaching, from recruiting and things like that, but I don't know Kyle that well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was, doing reading up again. I forgot that Coach Hanson was on the coaching. He's part of the coaching staff for several years. 7
years, 2000 to 2007.
Wow. So that was an interesting stretch for Kentucky basketball because those were the years where they transitioned from Pitino, won a national championship with Tubby Smith, and he had it rolling there for a while, Coach. And I mean, some exciting moments, the comebacks, against Duke, obviously. And I know you weren't there for that, or there was 2000, but they had some dominating teams. I mean, that team that lost to Dwayne Wade and Marquette. I mean, that was one of the best Kentucky teams that Tubby coached, and just Keith Bogans. I mean, do you believe that if Keith Bogans would have been 100%, Kentucky wins that game?
Without a doubt. But we had some great years. I mean, like I said, I got there in 2000, and the first 5 years I was there, we really dominated a lot of times, and a lot of times we did it with less talent than what people say we should have had. But that team that we lost to Dwayne Wade, that was one of my most favorite teams. And the reason why, I had Chuck Hayes. I had a podcast called Get on the Line. I had Chuck Hayes on it a few weeks ago.
Love Chuck Hayes.
And, oh my goodness, he's the best.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that team, and I was talking about what I loved about that team is they were so confident. And games were over at halftime.
Yeah.
And it's like when you out there, and the thing about this team, they were confident and they talked a lot of noise. And they would talk it in warm up. So when you out there watching the teams, if we out there watching the teams warm up for the game, I was always had to make sure no confrontation started. Because
no shenanigans.
They would come out on the court talking noise to no matter who it was. I remember one time we was playing at Tennessee, and Tennessee like to do that stretch around the center circle. So they're on our half and they're on their half. So our guys come out, walk straight through the center circle. And I'm not gonna tell you what they told them, but I will tell you this: during that season, teams were intimidated by our guys. But the thing about it is those guys came to work and practice and get every day. I mean, they were just a workhorse team, pushed each other. And Keith Bogans was a great leader, and everybody played their roles. So that was one of my favorite teams, just because of the mental toughness they had.
Coach, you say that, and that's. I mean, I love that. I mean, in the Calipari era, we've had some teams that were like that, where it's over before the ball even tips, where they come out to the court and they've got the swag, they're talking that junk. The other team looks at them as like, that's a bunch of dudes and we're in trouble. That's not the case right now with what he has going on. So what are your thoughts on the current team? And what do you think could improve with them?
I'm gonna tell you this, and I get into Twitter beefs with fans too. It's like it's not gonna be the same every year. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not. And the thing that people don't understand is just because we have the number one recruiting class in the country doesn't mean those guys are as good as the number one recruiting class we had 3 or 4 years ago. McDonald's All-Americans and those top players in the country, there's different levels every year. This class, certain classes are not as good as other classes. Just because it's the top-ranked players in the country, a lot of times that's a down year. And people don't understand that. People think just because they got All-American on their name that they're going to be like the Anthony Davis or the John Walls, and it's just not like that. And Kyle's got a team this year that is very young in every aspect of the word, in terms of learning what work ethic is, learning what intensity is, learning how to play together, learning how to forget about what they did in high school. Because that's the first thing with all freshmen is when they come to college, everything was went around them and on their team. Everything was about them. When you come to school, everybody's, especially Kentucky, everybody's just as good as you. And so some years it takes a little longer for guys to really give that up and be like, okay, I can still do my thing if I trust my teammate and play more as a team and not let it think that it's supposed to be around me. So this team is having that kind of adjustment.
And I brought this up in the previous segment. I'll throw this at you, Coach. With Cal, some of the comments he's made during the season, I've just shook my head or WTF. And but one of the things he said, and I'm going to go back to this, is I found the article where he told it's time for cats to unpack your bags. That was his quote. And as if they got 1 foot in the program and they're already looking ahead to either the league or something else. To me, the fact that he had to say that during the season dumbfounds me, because the fact, because what is he doing? When he's going to recruit these kids, isn't that part of the sell? The you got to be all in. You got to do this. You got to do that. This is going to be a totally different experience, and we need you mentally involved. And blah 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 blah. I'm struggling big time with this.
Let me help you with it.
All right.
It's like you said. He goes into these kids' homes. He tells them everything what it's about. Okay. But these kids also have the mindset of being one and done. Okay. Kyle, one thing I do know, when Kyle goes into these homes, he tells them it's not easy. He tells them you have to work hard. He tells them there's no promises that you're going to be one and done, but the opportunity is there for players to come and be one and done. That's just where it is at Kentucky now. But you have to understand, again, what I just said, these kids come into school, they spent the last 4 or 5 years with everybody telling them and saying, you're going to be great. You're going to go to Kentucky. You're going to be done in a year. So again, when they get to campus, they don't realize nobody cares about what you did in high school. Not your teammates, not anyone else. Now, fans do. Fans care too much about you being an All-American. That's the problem. Fans, I tell fans all the time, kick that All-American thing out the door. When they come into campus on college, it's a whole different story, whole different level, whole different learning criteria that they have to go through. And so Cal is telling them that, but when they come in, they have to go through the struggle sometimes before they believe it.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. When and I want to talk about your days, because you played during a very interesting time in Kentucky basketball history for the transition of Eddie Sutton,
Kentucky 2.0 in a sense.
Yeah.
It was
and then you
restart.
Rick Pitino coming in. How difficult was that first year under Rick Pitino? Because I mean, I know you guys ended up with a 14-14 record, but 10-8 in the SEC. People were surprised. People appreciated it. But how hard was he pushing you all every single day in practice?
I'll tell you this, and I wrote about this in my book.
What's the name of your book?
10 Life Lessons Learned as a Student Athlete.
Okay. Get that out there. Okay.
And so when he came in, obviously he's got the 40 minutes of pressing, running, shooting threes and everything. And Eddie Sutton had more of the slow down game, if y'all remember.
Yeah.
Very much slow down, defensive coach, great coach, not taking it away, but great coach, very slow offensive, more methodical. But in Rick's style, he had to be in great shape.
Yeah.
And so when he came in and we started conditioning, let me tell you this, let me go back. When he had his first meeting with us in the training room, and again, it was only 7-8 scholarship players left.
Right.
He said, I appreciate all of you staying. He said, I appreciate all of you staying. He said, I don't know how many games we'll win this year. He said, but I predict we'll win more than what they say we will. Because I think we predicted win maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He says, we'll win more than what they say we will just because of how hard we're going to work. So he says, now, I will tell you this too. After preseason conditions over, half of you may not be here. So we were all kind of like, yes. So we started conditioning, and it was tough. And then we got to the 2-mile runs, and we had to do them in 12 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a mentally tough guy. I can go out there, I can bang, I can do whatever, whatever needs to be done, I can do it. I don't have no problem. But the 2-mile runs was kicking my butt. I would throw up before those runs. Couldn't sleep before those runs because it's like in 12 minutes. I'm like, I know I was a good enough athlete, but I just mentally that 2-mile run was killing me. So one day after the run, Rock Oliver came over to the lodge to talk to me because Rick sent him over. Rick thought I was he thought I might have been on drugs or something because I was throwing up before all those runs. True story. So Rock comes over, he says, Reg, he says, talk to me, man. He says, we're new staff, but we love you guys. We want to help you guys. Something you need to tell me, so we can get you some help. I said, Rock, man, I started laughing. I said, man, I have anxiety before those 2-mile runs every day. I said, I can't sleep, I can't eat. I said, I ain't never been through nothing like that before. So he started cracking up, laughing. We both laughed. He was like, just keep grinding. And that's what I did. I kept grinding. And, I just had to teach myself how to think differently when approaching the runs. And but I'll tell you this. One thing from what Rick said in terms of how hard we worked to get in great shape, to learn and master that system, it translated to the court very quickly. For us to finish 14-14, and we had opportunity to finish with a winning season. If I'm not mistaken, our last game of the season that year was against Notre Dame, and we had a chance to win that game.
Yeah.
And we had a chance to finish with a winning season, which would have been amazing. But even 14-14 was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fans were ecstatic because that was the first sign that Pitino was bringing the team back from the ashes. And like you said, the hard work. and the appreciation of what you guys were going through, or what you were doing, and then to follow that up with 1990, 1991, where you guys are 20-6, 14-4 in the SEC. What game was it for you, and maybe for the entire team that season, where you all after you won the game, or maybe lost a close one, that after that game you looked at each other and were like, we've got something here. It's clicking. Whatever Pitino's doing, it's clicking.
Is that about when Richie lowered his beer intake?
Well, I would say this,
James. When Pitino first showed up, James, how old were you?
How old was I?
Yeah,
when he first showed up, I was 8.
Wow. Hey, but about the Richie beer intake, that stopped the first year. He couldn't survive if he didn't. Richie had to do some extra running, a little more than everybody else to slim down. But back to your question, honestly, what we did in that first year, going into that second year, we knew. Because what we did in that first year, pretty much everybody was back, and we added Mashburn, Martinez, I don't know who else, Mash Martinez, even though they were young, just adding them to what we had, we went into that season knowing it can be special.
Yeah. And what was it?
Mashburn. Oh,
that was my question. I mean, I read the book that was written about the dream game. Grace Hammer played it, and they focused a lot on Mashburn in that book, and just how like physically dominating he was, even as a young guy. I mean, just playing with him in person as a freshman, could you tell Coach, like, yeah, this dude, he's not like other dudes?
Oh, ain't no question. But the thing about with Mash, I tell everybody the same thing. He was just like any other freshman came in. When he came in, conditioning, half the time when we was done with our runs, we had to push Mash around the truck to help the track to help him finish his runs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was tough for Mash, and the intensity of the game and practice every day was tough for him. But he was so talented and so strong even then that his just natural skills allowed him to even dominate at that time. But he was still, if you look at him as a freshman in that following year, and the difference his body made from that baby fat to that muscle, and how his game took off. But we knew when he was a freshman that this guy's gonna be very, very special.
Did you ever have any exchanges with Coach Pitino where he got just got on you so bad that you're like, I don't know if this is for me? Because especially back when he was young, I know how intense Rick Pitino. Did you ever have an exchange with Pitino? Like, man, did you ever have that moment? Because you said you were mentally tough. Did you ever have a moment where you questioned, like, maybe this guy's too nuts for me even?
Because the thing about me is when coaches challenge me, I take it up to another level. That's the type of person or player I was.
Sounds like a Pitino guy. He loves that stuff.
Yeah, that's the type of player I was. Because coaches yelling and stuff like that didn't faze me. Because at the end of the day, as long as I know that coach is making me better, and they're not disrespecting me as a person, thing like that, that's just what he does. So yelling and screaming never affected me. I turned it up, But I will tell you this: being a captain of the team my junior and senior year, he straight up told me, he was like, this your team, so when they're not playing well, I'm gonna be on your ass. and there's plenty of days in practice the team's not going well and playing well and not practicing well and not going hard enough. And he stopped practice. And he ripped me, not the team. He's like, it's your team, in Rick Pitino's words.
Yeah.
He said, it's your team. But you know what? What I love is that, as a leader, he gave me the freedom to lead. So whenever that happens, I'll pull the team together and I'll rip them. I tell them, I don't mind getting ripped for y'all, but y'all gonna do me a favor too by going harder. Yeah. And then there's plenty of times where if practice started and I saw we wasn't into it that much, I would tell Rick, I say, Coach, hold on a second. And then I would rip them. I said, look, we ain't going through that today. So, that's the thing about Rick that I did love, is the fact that, yeah, he would get on me and rip me because I was a leader. I had to set the example every day, but he allowed me to be a leader as well.
No, great points. Going back to that first season, remind me, this is that season. You guys beat the LSU team that season, correct?
Yes, that everybody that I'll say this: when people talk to me about their favorite games back in the time, it's always the LSU game. I think it was around 100-95. Everybody said they loved that game. They had Shaq, Chris Jackson,
dude, they were
Roberts.
Yeah, big Stanley Roberts. So yeah, they had a squad. They had a squad. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. I want to say that team, I think it was that team, a few weeks maybe, they played Loyola. To me, that Loyola team still is, just so fun.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone the other day, Jamie. You remember the King of the Bluegrass that's here?
Yeah. Fair enough.
I graduated in '85. That year, someone reminded me that at the King of the Bluegrass was Gathers and Kimball's high school team played in that, and they think they played like Seneca that had Tony Kimbrough and Keith Williams. Yeah. So
I'm gonna tell you this: that King of the Bluegrass tournament used to be one of the top tournaments back in the day. When I was, I played in it twice. When I was a freshman, we played in it. And my brother played back then. And I remember the one team because it was just a great team that was in the tournament. I remember Dunbar.
Oh yeah.
They had Reggie Williams, Muggsy Bogues, Reggie Lewis, Wingate. They had like 4 or 5 guys pros.
That was the pipeline to Georgetown, right?
Yes.
Basically. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they played in that tournament. It was that King of the Bluegrass was one of the top tournaments in the country.
Yeah. Right.
It was great.
Yeah, you were just 8, James, or whatever. I forget.
Hey, I'll tell you, I might be the youngest guy in right now, but Coach Hanson looks a lot younger than me. I mean,
he looks great, man. He looks great.
He popped out. I was like, "Whoa!"
Thank you. It's working out and still eating my vegetables and drinking my Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
That's the best coffee. Now, you and I can be friends over that for sure. You need that Starbucks out of here. You need that Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Yeah.
But you know what? People always, because I always make posts about Dunkin' Donuts, and people like to ask me what I get. And like I said, I try to eat healthy, and so I don't eat a lot of sweets and sugars. So when I get my Dunkin' Donut coffee, I'll get coffee. I get it black, cream, then I get sugar-free flavor, no sugar.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of my problems. I eat a lot of sugar and I drink a lot of beer, so that's not good. That's the bad combo.
You're amongst friends here, James. So
hey, we gonna still love you. You good? You good?
Thank you, Coach.
Well, tell us about what's going on with you these days.
I'm trying to get I got my hand in a lot of different things that I'm doing. I have my own coaching company. I'm a certified professional coach, so I help people to solve different things in their lives, overcome obstacles, help them achieve their goals, and especially during this time of a pandemic, and here's the thing I'll say about what I do. And the thing about a lot of people is, there's so many people in this world that work jobs that they don't like, most people, and they're afraid that they will live unhappy in that job, but because they're afraid to go and do what they really want to do. And so that's one of the things I help people do is like, you got to get out of your own way. Do you want to live miserable the rest of your life, or do you want to make a plan to live a life and do the things that you want to do in life and be happy with what you're doing? But you guys know, most people don't like the jobs and the careers that they have.
Right.
But they're afraid to make that change. And I'll tell you this one thing when I meet with people now, and with the pandemic, as tough as it's been, and people have lost their jobs, which is very sad. So when I meet with them, I say, okay, first thing I ask them is, did you like that job? They like, no. I say, okay, so now you know what? Now you got an opportunity to get some skills, get some education, and now do the job and the career that you really want. So it's a blessing in disguise for a lot of people if it's taken advantage of that way.
Yeah.
But I do workshops for high school kids, college kids, career development. I do mental health awareness workshops. Me and my daughter, we have a foundation called Stay Whole Mental Health Foundation.
I love that.
We created a mental health wellness company. It's going to be a couple of years in terms of getting where we wanted to be. So I'm doing a lot of different things. I've got something that I don't want to say right now, but somebody reached out to me a couple of months ago about doing something that I think is going to be very, very big. And it's gonna be in Kentucky. And I'm very excited about helping this progress in this program and building it. And
Not in Louisville, Kentucky.
no. At the end of the day, the goal is to be all over Kentucky in terms of who I'm going to be helping. Put it that way.
Well, whenever you get that set up, let us know, and we'll promote it for you and
Okay.
help you out. Whatever. Yeah, absolutely, man. You can come on here anytime.
Here, and then James does his. Well, you tell him what you do on the afternoons, James.
Yeah, I had my part-time gig is I'm a radio sports talk radio host, 3 to 6 on ESPN 680 105.7 in Louisville, based out of Louisville. So that's what I do. And yeah, man, I mean, and yeah, just let us know. And yeah, we definitely come on back on here and promote it. And we'd love to. I mean, you seem like a good dude and have a lot of positivity about you. So yeah.
But that's what I'm about. It's about positivity and spreading positivity. And, anybody that follows me on my social medias and all my pages, they know that's what I do every day. Is if it ain't a quote, it's a video. But that's what I'm about. Me and my daughter, like I said, have two podcasts together. One is called Get on the Line, and that's geared strictly towards student athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one. I've had Chuck Hayes on that one. I've had Rex. I've had some different people different things. When I've had some trainers to come on to give the trainer side. I had talking about what student athletes need to do from an interview perspective. So there's a lot of different things that we have on there. And then our other podcast is called Soul Hustle. And that's more along the lines of what I do, but we have this together. And so we the whole show is about helping people understand how to go on that journey to creating that life they want, to find that passion and that hustle that they want to go on to live a happy life. But we've had Josh Hopkins.
Yeah, actor.
Josh
Yeah,
Hopkins, he was one of our first guys on there. I've been knowing Josh for dang near 30 years.
awesome.
But we've had a lot of. I just had Ron Mack, ex-football player, on there. But we've had some a lot of business owners and stuff. Just tell them about that grind they went through and the different careers they went through before they finally got to that one that they were happy with. And so that's what I love about that. It really is educational and inspiring to a lot of people. Another thing I definitely want to tell you about. There's this company called Severance. They put a new app out, and they reached out to me probably 3 or 4 months ago to be a strategic advisor for them and tell them different things that need to do to help build the app. But what the app does is it helps athletes develop a growth mindset. And so what it does is they give reminders each day. And the thing about it, the reason the company's named Severance, because it's 7 wins in 7 days is what you're trying to get the athletes to have.
Okay, cool. Okay.
And so on Sunday, it'll send them a text reminder to do a reflection on how they week before went. Mm-hmm. On Monday, it'll tell them to set the goals for the week. So they'll set a reading goal, a training goal, and a giving goal to teach them gratitude.
Oh, nice.
And then each day, it'll send them a reminder to rate between 1 and 5 how they're concentrating, how they're attacking the day, what the energy level is like. And so they'll rate that, every day. And then, like I said, at the end of the week, coaches can see what's going on and see how they're doing. And what it does is it helps coaches become better mentors and have a closer connection with those players.
Maybe if someone's not having such a good day, that's not a day to just jump in them and really, from a coaching perspective, like if I see a player's, not having a good week or something, like, hey, pull them over to the side. Hey, how are things going, and maybe not go so hard on them at practice if things aren't going great.
Exactly. It creates that conversation, because if you're looking at their ratings, because the coaches will get it on their phone too, the players will be in there as their
Sure.
team. Let's say in the first couple of days, the player rates 4s and 5s with the 4 different categories, right? And let's say midweek it went down. And then let's say end of the week it goes back up. Okay, so now coach, it creates conversation. The coach said, okay, I was looking at your stats here. What was going on, and why you rated your how you was feeling these areas so low? So it creates that conversation, because here's the thing with a lot of athletes is a lot of times they're not gonna go to coach and tell them.
No.
So this allows them the confidence to say, okay, this is how I'm feeling. So now a coach can know, and it creates the conversation. Say, okay, I see you aren't feeling well. What's going on? Two, now the other thing is, okay, now it went back up at the end of the week. So now a coach can say, okay, what happened in terms of you were back up? So whatever they did themselves to get themselves back up, you want to try to help them replicate that.
Sure, keep the ball rolling.
Yeah. So it's a great app, but it's it just came out back in August, so we just really starting to really put it out there, promote it, and do things with it. But I think it's definitely a game changer.
Well, what's going to change the game with this current team? You're looking at the Kim Pomeroy rankings that they project Kentucky to finish 12-14, 10-8 in the SEC, which if those numbers do happen, this fan base will, it will implode.
Implode, coach. We bad.
Yeah, we jokingly say that Governor Bashir thanks Cal for taking
the heat off of him.
Heat off of him during in the state, because now Cal's been. But something also, I got to throw this out too. As I was talking to someone about, doing the show tonight, James, and we were going to be kind of. It may sound like we were going to be up Cal's ass, and then there was a comment like, and while you're at it, won't you throw in the fact that they did this Black Lives Matter thing, and it continues to separate his fan base. And I'm like, what?
I'll tell you what, if that separates the fan base, then it lets you know truly how those people are.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what most people understand is it's not about that when people say Black Lives Matter, if you really ask them, nobody ever says nobody else's lives don't matter. Mm-hmm. But Black lives, African American lives are going through a whole lot different than what other people are going through. And that's just what that's about. Everybody's life is important. And that's been said. Mm-hmm. But we living in an age, and I was on Tony Delk's podcast the other night. We're living in an age now where these young kids are going to speak their mind.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they are, because especially athletes, because with everything that's going on, these people are generating a whole lot of money for these schools. Mm-hmm. And when you take this pandemic in effect, a lot of these athletes are going through some mental health challenges. Because I coach and counsel some athletes, a lot of athletes as well. Right. They're going through some mental health challenges with this pandemic, because the uncertainties, the disconnect, not knowing what the future is going to be like. They've never been through anything like this. And so they're doing a lot of money for programs, and they need to be, I'm not going to say they need to be paid, but what they're doing in terms of likeness and stuff, I like that, because
absolutely,
because they're out there doing the work. And then now with the pandemic, it's like they're on those front lines, and you playing these games with people from other places. So they're putting themselves in position in terms of contracting COVID. And I hope they don't. I hope things can go well so we can have an entire season. But you gotta let your players express themselves. And the thing about it, as long as they're not being disrespectful to anyone, and they wasn't. No. I mean, you gotta support them. They're young people that just want a chance in life.
No, I think that's really well said, and I'm with you. I mean, with the name and likeness, I think that's a game changer for the NCAA to even consider that and move forward with it. Because I mean, as much as they like to push, the student athlete thing, there's just so much that they've gotten wrong in terms of that. So I'm glad that they're at least moving in that direction.
I'll tell you this: they didn't really have a choice, because these athletes are banding together all over the country, and
Right.
you've seen some already boycott. If it doesn't happen, these athletes will boycott. This is new generation. What they call them, Generation Z.
Yeah.
Generation Z
Yeah.
is very independent and wants to be heard.
Well said. Well said. There's clearly enough talent on this team,
Yes.
current team, that the ceiling is high, and it's not going to shock me if it's one of those years where February rolls around and we look pretty damn good. And but again, we touched on this earlier, James. It's just the headaches of November now until the getting into the SEC schedule of the struggles.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got. I don't think, honestly, right now, I don't think we're going to beat UCLA. I don't think we'll beat Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
What are we, 1-4?
1-4.
What's this? By the end of the year, our projected record was going to be what? 1-2 and 6, 7, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the sky is falling.
I'm gonna tell you this. I have a whole different perspective than most people because of playing.
Mm-hmm.
Because of playing from Eddie Sutton to Rick in terms of style of play, program being down, getting it back on its feet, coaching with Tubby, coaching at South Florida. So I have a totally different perspective than most people. And one thing that I do understand at Kentucky, fans are very, but there's going to be times where it just, it's one of them years we're like, dang, let's, I don't know what's going to happen. Like this year, I don't know how good we can be. I think if we come together and learn to work as a team, I don't think we have one person that's going to carry it. I think this is a team.
Yeah.
This is the team that they're going to have to collectively together all out every game. Offensively, defensively, moving the ball, helping each other get better, defensively, covering each other. I think it's going to take a team effort. I don't think we have a guy that's talented enough to just, we know we're going to go to him every game if we need to get out of a tight spot or something like that.
Sure.
So I think if they come together as a team and turn the intensity level up, I think that they can definitely, get better and build some momentum. But when that may happen or not, I don't know. Is it frustrating to watch? Yes, but like I said, I just have a totally different perspective because I've been there as a player and a coach, and I just know that some years we just ain't gonna like. But that doesn't mean the program's dropped. Doesn't mean. I mean, let me ask you this: the last 10 years, who's the most winningest coach in college basketball?
Yeah, John Calipari.
John
Calipari.
So it's always like, we forget that, and it's almost like, I look at things totally different too from a life perspective, because it's like people, when you look at life, those same type of things happen in your life. You have some moments where, dang, it just ain't working out.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the sky's falling. That just means, hey, I got to learn a lot real quick. I got to grow, and I got to get better and get back to where I need to be. But with this team, like I said, I think if they come together and understand that they have to win by committee, collectively, offensively and defensively, rebounding, communication, all that stuff, I think they can definitely turn around and build some momentum and finish strong.
That sounds good to me. I'm hoping that's the case. Absolutely.
Now, again, freshmen and sophomores.
So man.
You don't know how quickly it'll happen. because it's like I said, they're not Anthony Davis, John Wall, Boogie Cousins, and all them. It's not that kind of talent, and even not that mentality that those guys had.
Yeah, but their friends and family and coaches, AAU coaches, are still touting them as the, a first round draft pick, and
as long as we have one and done,
it's always
the people are going to be in their ears pumping them up. Now, here's the thing. Now, one thing I've noticed, with Kyle is that, hey, if you ain't doing it, he will put somebody else in that is doing it, right? And so if you're one of them kids that them people in your head and they got you thinking, oh man, you should be doing more of this, more of that. Well, be careful, because while you listen to them people, this guy over here, your same position, now he just took 20 of your minutes.
There you go.
So it's that's just the way it's got to be,
All right, winding down. We're a little past what we wanted to keep. Reggie, where are you at? Where are you located?
I'm in the Tampa, Florida area, an area called Palm Harbor, right outside of Tampa.
So
nice.
East Coast time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Man, James, this could last. This conversation could.
Yeah, that's a good one. Very good one. Yeah.
I've got an idea, actually, James. I'm gonna run it by you, and it has something to do with Coach Hanson, and we'll circle back because some of the storytelling early on, I think we're on to something, but I'm not going to say any more during this. Your early teams with Rick, very exciting, exciting. And it, to me, I have to get used to calling you Coach Hanson, because to me, you're Reggie Hanson.
And you know what? You can call me that. You can call me Reggie.
I'm gonna say,
I have no problem with that.
I know. Well, I was real big, and there was a movie that Eddie Murphy made in the mid to early 80s. His character's name was Reggie.
I know you're talking about I think it was a Nutty
48
Professor.
Hours.
Yeah, 48 hours.
48 hours. No,
Yeah, 48 hours.
Yeah, 48. Yeah. With Nick Nolte. Okay.
Nick Nolte. So Reggie.
Hammond. No, I remember that. Reggie Hammond.
Reggie Hammond.
Funny
You
movie.
don't have to put on the red line. Those days are over. Yeah. I remember that.
Duke, real quick. The whole Duke thing where Coach K had pulled out his team from non-conference games. You good with that? I'm
not. I'm all for doing things with and in terms of the player's benefit. If you wanna take your players and not play non-conference games and stuff, I'm all for that. Okay, but let's do it at the beginning of the season before the season starts. Not necessarily after 2 losses and you haven't had any positive tests, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No.
So that's the only thing I didn't like about it is the 2 losses, and then it's like, okay, I'm not going to play the rest of these teams, and so that's my thing. I tell you this, I always had the idea is that it would have been probably safer, easier for everyone if they scratched the non-conference game, had a conference seasons, and bubble every team in one city. Use one, couple arenas in the area, bubble teams, one city to have a conference season. So, but I just hope and pray that everybody just stay safe and that they don't have a lot of players to test positive and be able to get through the season without too many games lost.
Right.
Well said. Cleveland Browns, right? Was it Cleveland?
Yeah,
no,
they were down. We're down. Oh, you're talking about never mind.
No, the Indians changing their name, right?
Yes. Yeah, we don't know what it's going to be yet.
What's the score of the Cleveland Browns game?
Say it again.
28-14.
James.
Right now?
Yeah. I'm a big Browns fan, so
okay.
Yeah, I'm like, we got to beat the Ravens and maybe try to win the division, but it's not good right now. We're losing.
Yeah, I mean they still got it. What's their record now?
9-3. I mean, they're 9-3.
That's
They're good. Yeah,
they got a chance. They should make the playoffs.
No, I want to. I can't be. A beggar can't be a chooser. So making the playoffs is going to be great. But man, that division title is right. It's right there. It's right there.
Right there.
Yeah,
carrot dingling right there, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was the. Let's see.
You scored again.
Who?
Cleveland scored 28-20. All right, here we go.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess for now, we'll go on and wind it down. Anything you want to promote before we go? People connect with you. You're involved in a bunch of stuff. So
my website is www.hansoncoaching.com. They can go there and buy my book and see all about what I do. Just started my new merchandise called the Buffalo Gang.
Looking good.
And the quote down here is a quote that I have on my site. I have in everything I do. It's called "You hold the pen to your life story." And it goes back to what I was telling you guys about me helping people understand you're in control of what you want to do. It's just you got to go do it. So I started this show. It's gonna come out pretty soon. It ain't out yet. But it's called Buffalo Gang, and it's because of what the Buffalo represents: provision, consistency. The Buffaloes, they're the king of the mountain in terms of their territory, and they weather any storms, and they keep moving. And so that's why I call it Buffalo Gang, and what my business and what I'm all about.
Very cool, man. I do have one more question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Kentucky eventually will welcome back Rick Pitino and honor him at Rupp Arena?
As Cal's there, they will. Because I think he's for it.
I'm with you.
So if Cal's there, then I think it would happen.
I think it needs to happen. I'm with you, Reggie.
Yeah.
And Rick's at what? Iona now.
Iona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Actually, and his assistant Kevin Willett beat him the other night.
He did. Seton Hall. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
beat him
pretty good.
which was expected, though.
Right. Seton Hall's on another level than Iona.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Kevin's done a great job.
Rick will get him there. I think Rick will get them to where they're a competitive mid-major. I fully believe that.
There's no question. I mean, I think that's a given. Just give them a couple of recruiting cycles and let them get the system on their belt. And I think it will.
Last but not least, James, I'll throw this out at James first and then see if Coach wants to jump in. The football world reacts to Johnny Manziel back in the game. Did you know Manziel is playing football again?
I didn't.
Yeah, he's playing in this league. It's the new league is fan controlled league. Fans control call the plays.
Wow.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. So.
Now, why did he get why is he out of the game again?
He just he had some addiction issues, was in and out of rehab, and just it never translated to professional, whether that be NFL, CFL. He spent a little time, I believe, in that American Football League, and it never translated. So I think a lot of that was some self-inflicted things too.
Yeah. Okay. Guess we're wrapping down. I know the Mitch announced the hit that the program took. $35 million shortfall. The women named their head coach. Go ahead.
As they should have. That was the right call.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah.
Again, like I said, when you're used to being in the black, I mean, you hit the red, but Kentucky would be back in the black again.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm talking about from a financial standpoint. I mean, Kentucky's not immune to that, which just like everybody else. But you don't have fans, you don't have all the things, so you can't make the money. So that's part of where we at. But Kentucky will be okay.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama football is gonna. They're going to win the national championship.
They'll be okay.
Money. They'll get some bonuses off the Bama win. All right. I'm trying to think of anything else to cover. I've got Coach. It's been my pleasure just to talk to you, and
thanks, Coach.
Totally enjoyed this.
Yeah,
and
that was awesome.
Same here. My pleasure as well.
I've got shit noodling in my head about where to go next, and I'm gonna throw it James, but it involves you, Coach. So
okay, let me
stay
know.
tuned. Stay tuned.
Coach.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We got to do it again for sure.
No problem. Thank you, and both you guys stay safe out there. All right.
You too, man.
Yeah,
you're a solid dude. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
One of my favorite. Man,
really?
honestly, he was at the time Patino showed up. He was, my favorite, and
so that's a big deal for you,
huh?
That's a big deal for you,
yeah. Because in 89, 90, and 89, I was 22.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
and you were what, 8?
In 90, I was 8.
Or 90. No, I take back. No, in 90. Wait a minute.
90, I was 8. I was born in 82.
7,
so when Rick Pitino showed up 89, 90, I was 8 when he showed up.
Yeah. So if he showed up in 89, then I was 22.
There you go.
Oh, dang. Boy. Yeah, we'll talk offline. This
okay.
Fun show tonight.
Fun show. Like, really good time.
Thompson. Actually, both of them, we could have had them on for one, just each person for an hour.
Absolutely.
It would have been fun. So,
yeah.
We just kind of hope for better results from the, our boys in blue.
That's been the word of the season so far. Yeah. Hope. And I never thought during John Calipari's coaching tenure that we'd be relying on hope so much.
Yeah. So
we'll see Saturday.
Yeah. The Saturday is against
UCLA, 2:00.
Yeah. Johnny Juzang.
Johnny Juzang's back.
Yeah. Where's that game going to be played?
I think it's a neutral court game. I think. Yeah, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that it was supposed to be neutral court before the pandemic and everything happened. So I still think it's a neutral court setting. So I'm going to look real quick just because I don't want to get things wrong. And I want to know personally, like, where was this game being played? So let me look real quick before we end here. We went super long tonight. All right, Saturday, that game is it's on this is the CBS Sports Classic. Not sure where it's played, but it's not in Rupp Arena. Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. The thing is with like tonight with these two guests, it was like it was just different vibe than past shows we've done. So I kind of like the flow of tonight. So
yeah, me too.
Anyways, that is it for James Streble, Kevin Hale. This has been Round of Shots and working overtime.
Yeah.
Always good to see you.
You too.
Where are we at? Today's the 14th.
Yep, today's the 14th.
Yeah, so next week I should be a grandfather again.
Congrats. Early congrats.
Early congrats. So
yeah.
James, always a pleasure to hang with you. That was good stuff. People who participated, chimed in, appreciate it. Everyone, have a good night. Be safe. Take care.
Later.